Hi, Kristen. Hi, Jen. Good afternoon,
Hi,
everybody.
Greta.
We are wrapping up our celebration and commemoration of Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month this February. We're really grateful to all of you for sticking with us and for hopefully learning something alongside us as we kind of try to navigate healthy teen relationships and healthy relationships between teens and the grown-ups in their life, and how to keep those going. So today, Kristen and Jen and I are just going to kind of do a recap, kind of a lightning round of what we've learned over the course of the month, and some things we just want to, some tools and resources we just want to leave you with. So let's get started. So let's start with you, Kristen. So you're in schools, you're talking to youth. Can you tell us a little bit about the things that parents and caregivers especially can look for, some signs that something might be off in the young person in their life's relationship?
Definitely. And I think it can be tricky to pick them out if you're not necessarily looking for them. But a couple of the warning signs to tell that maybe, your child or your teen may be in one of these, unsafe relationships is noticing like a change in their mood. If they are usually chipper and they're usually really outgoing, and you've noticed that they've sort of, drawn within themselves and they just aren't really their typical selves, like this can be a big sign that the relationship that they are in maybe isn't the safest or the healthiest. Another big warning sign, and this can be difficult to tell because teens are always on their phones nowadays, but if it seems like they're always like, off in the corner and like really defensive and, trying to be really secretive about what's going on their phone, even like jolting if the phone buzzes or, goes off. Because obsessive texting and monitoring is a huge or is a really common tactic within these, unsafe, abusive teen relationships. If they're, distancing themselves from their friends or the hobbies or activities that they used to do, now they haven't been doing that since they've gotten into their relationship, that can also be, a telltale sign, this change in their typical routine or their typical activities that they are involved in. And then also defending their partners. I think this is another sign of whether or not a relationship is super healthy, if they are quick to, try to jump and defend their partner's behavior. So
Thank you.
name a few.
Thank you for that. A great summary and some great things to look out for. Jen, maybe you can take the next one. So wondering, so if a parent or a caregiver is noticing these signs or some of the other signs we point to in our parent guide, how can they start this conversation? What are some ways we talked about, like, it's okay if it's awkward, it's okay if you mess up, but what are some starting points?
Yeah, I think just broad, open-ended questions are really the most important, right? Focusing on the things you've seen or heard, right? Not jumping in with assumptions, but just saying, how are things going? You seem to be on your phone a lot. Who are you talking to? Are you happy with the relationships? A lot of times people will also feel more comfortable asking about friends of the things that are in their lives. If you don't want to ask them direct questions, ask what their friends' relationships are like. That can be helpful. But in general, just getting them talking about what's going on in their daily lives, showing that you're interested, and really letting them talk, right? Don't make them defensive. Don't be judgmental. Don't jump in with all kinds of accusations. Just ask how things are going. Ask how they feel about things. If they are happy, if they're comfortable, if they're feeling good about their friendships and relationships. And listen to what they have to say.
So from your experience working more closely with teens more recently than Jen and I do in our daily lives, Kristen, can you tell us a little bit, what do you think teens wish that their parents or caregivers knew? Or how do they wish that the adults in their life approached these conversations?
Sure, yeah. I think teens, one of the first things is they feel awkward having these conversations as well. So they are also not likely to be the ones who start the conversation. So they are likely looking for, their parent or their caregivers to show that they are interested and that they care, and that talking to them can be a safe conversation. Because I don't think most of the teens are gonna be the ones that initiate those conversations. And then I think the second thing is that I think they want parents to know that really what they're looking for is really the sense of belonging. I'm sure most of their peers are dating, and
Mm.
if they found themselves in a relationship that's like this, one of the most difficult things is, it's tough to get out of it when this is sort of maybe what is seeming normal. So if parents are supportive and open to listening, and open to, helping them feel like they belong and that they feel safe and secure in their own, body, mind in general, I think that's a really big help.
So helpful. Thank you for underscoring that. And the body-mind connection. Thanks for hinting at that. So Jenn, what if you are an adult, which you are, and a young person in your life indicates they might be ready to talk, but maybe not to you? Do you have some suggestions for some ways that parents, caregivers can navigate that, and maybe some other resources?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think as long as someone knows they have someone to talk to and you're willing to help them figure out who that person is, that's a huge step. Most don't want to talk. I mean, I think whether they're, teens, young adults, or older adults, it's very difficult. They do tend to go to their friends first. So you can always ask, who of your friends are you comfortable with? Is there anyone that you could reach out to? Generally, parents or other family members that are adults are kind of the second point of contact. That is where they feel most comfortable next, usually. Sometimes an older sibling or cousin that might be a little closer in their age could be a good intermediate before they're ready to talk to you. And then, of course, there's always, teachers, coaches, counselors at school. We, of course, are more than happy to help. I do think we are probably the least likely place a teenager would reach out, but we're here for parents and other caregivers to talk through, and we can give you suggestions on how to start those conversations. But I think realizing that, you are still close to the top of the list of who they're going to reach out to and want to talk to. And like you said earlier, Greta, you don't have to have all the answers, and you can make mistakes in those conversations. But if it's not you, just ask, who is it that you feel comfortable talking to? And help them to name someone specific, even if it is a peer of theirs or a friend. That is better than not talking with anyone.
I like that. It's also so reassuring to hear you're close to the top of the list, if not at the top.
We're close.
So
you're not at the top,
that.
but you're close.
So I think my final kind of question as a wrap up is, I think parents, it's like part of our nature, the mama bear, papa bear kind of like reaction to assume that it is our child that is being wronged. And I'm wondering if either of you jump in, have some suggestions if a parent or caregiver is noticing that their child is exhibiting some controlling or coercive behavior, and how we kind of redirect from that, how we kind of, change that course so that the child is learning some healthy behaviors.
Yeah, I've run into a few. We've actually done some workshops where it was the controlling behavior that was the concern. And so they brought us in to talk about the other end to open that door. And I think it's really important to remember that, we're all learning with relationships, right? Any new relationship, there's a learning curve. And for young adults and teens, that learning curve is even larger. And so everyone is going to make mistakes. And it does not mean that there's going to be chronic concern or a string of abusive behaviors going forward. But it is our responsibility to help them learn, how to approach relationships. I worked with a boy once who, he's like, well, of course I'm going to check her phone. How do I know she's not cheating on me? I'm like, well, if she's cheating, why don't you just find someone else? And that seemed like, this, revelation of, oh,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of them, that pressure to be dating and that pressure to have that status symbol of your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner is so huge that they don't think of alternatives. And so asking a lot of the same questions: how's the relationship going? How do you feel? If behaviors come up that seem controlling on their end or unhealthy on their end, ask them, well, how do you think your partner feels? Is that how you want to be acting? And help them recognize other avenues, help them see other possibilities, and reassuring them that, just because there's a relationship, it doesn't have to last, and be forever. I know it seems like it at times when you're a teen, but if it's not a good relationship, they don't need to stay in it, and they should talk through and find better behaviors or better tactics with communicating, or consider, maybe there are better people to be around, that they will be happier and that they can then treat better and feel more comfortable as well.
I like that, like similar conversation, no matter what your instinct is about what's going on. Anything to add to that, Kristen?
Jen put it so perfectly. I think, still making sure we're having those conversations no matter what, because they're going to be awkward, but it needs to be had, right?
Yeah. And there's so much there's something good that will come out of having that conversation with the relationship between the young person and the older person too, right? Well, thank you both. And thank you all for watching and for tuning in for this lightning round. We're here if you need us. Like Jen said, we are happy to talk to a teen in your life or yourself if you would like to have some resources or just bounce some ideas off of one of us. So we'll link to the support line, and thanks so much.